Hey, this is Jonathan Stone with the Expanding Visions Foundation. We're entering week 5 of the Career Institute at the Ohio State University Libraries. In this week's class, students will be learning how to write MBA level resumes. They'll be able to write resumes that are unique to their talents, their education, and their experiences. These resumes will help set them apart from all their peers when they go out to look for different jobs. We hope that you enjoyed today's class, and if you like what you see, leave us some comments, like, and share, and follow us at Expanding Visions Foundation.
So everybody knows why we need a resume, right? That's the only thing I have, a document that I can start this conversation with. I looked at your application online. You may have submitted that application or that resume with your application, but 9 times out of 10, a recruiter only has maybe 10 seconds to scan your application and your resume. Most of the systems that they used for applications and even to screen resume is an algorithm. They're looking for buzzwords that come out of that resume and that application that match the profile for that job. Y'all didn't know that, did y'all? Y'all think y'all sitting there going, boom, boom, reading? No. Most companies have a systematic way to screen in or screen out your resume. So if you have to do an application and have to do a resume and not have the right language that they're looking for that particular job description, you're screening it out. A good recruiter might go back and say, I know this person didn't fit my 10 out of 10 profile. I'm gonna go back and look, because I don't really like the ones that look like 10 out of 10. I'm gonna go back and look at the 9 out of 10. Maybe I was missing something in reviewing the resume. But they only got about 10 seconds. Think about it, recruiters are looking at hundreds of resumes a day for one job. That's a lot. So if yours isn't standing out in any way based on language, and we talked about this last week, go to Google, find out what the language you can borrow from for some of these job families that you're applying for. I do it all the time. All right, questions? So we know why we need one. So tip before you begin a resume. You know you want to kind of pull in your mind what you've done. And many of you that have not worked in a particular job, there are things you can list. So you may just start brainstorming of all the possible things that I've done to gain skills. So that could have been babysitting, that could have been volunteer work, that could have been camp work, whatever that is that you can kind of say, here's something that I've done and I've obtained some experience and some skills. You guys want to give me some other examples of things you can put on your resume other than being in a company? Yes, ma'am.
I put like awards or certain things that you receive. Yeah, I put summer camps, like you said.
Yep, so summer camp awards. Why is awards important or accomplishments important on a resume?
Because your educational background and your achievements and academics.
Yep. Why else is it important on a resume?
To show that you did good at something.
Huh?
To show that you did good at something.
Yeah, that you've been good at something, you've accomplished something. So your actual resume, we talked about this, can just be on a piece of paper. Your font needs to be consistent, and there's ways for you to check that consistency, right? Everybody knows that on Word. You can go in and highlight all your information, make sure your font is consistent. And if you're using bold, it's usually in the titles, not in the language. Does that make sense? So if you're bolding like you worked at this company and you went to this school, that can be bolded versus the language that you're using to describe those jobs. Be consistent with your tabs, and there's tons of. I even have examples tonight to give you. Tons of tools out there on the website that specifically state being a student in high school, different examples of how you can write your resume. So as part of the homework assignment tonight, that's what you're going to do. So be consistent in terms of how that flows. Most resumes are left justified, so they all start one side of the page versus in the center. So just look for the most consistent format. Proofread. Is it okay for you to only use spell check and creating a resume? What else should you do?
I'd also say But yeah, just read over the entire thing to see if you got the grammar right and to see if you like switch down around like any words.
Yeah. What else can you do? Yeah.
Ask someone else to read it.
Yes. Ask someone else to read it. What else?
It allows you to have a different point of view of the SATs. It may be some grammar or like writing there that you might think shown that somebody else might see.
Right. Absolutely. There's nothing worse than for you to create a resume, put all this information in there, don't really know what it says, right? You just completed it. It looks good. And then you go to the interview and you're having to explain it, and you're like, wow, what did I write? Is that you? What did I write? So being able to have someone else review it, reading it out loud is important. And many of you talked about this not only in the interview, but on your resume, to be honest. Why is honesty important? Why is honesty important? I'm gonna start calling y'all out. Why is honesty important on a resume?
And like, if you lie, then I think it's down that you lie.
Yeah, it catches up with you. What
I
else?
mean, basically, like, if you're lying and maybe like, okay, go do that or something, and you're not going to be able to do it to the interview.
Absolutely. What else?
I was gonna say basically that, like, because I speak Chinese on a paper, it's gonna ask you, do you speak Chinese? Then you will have to say.
They'll be like, great, I have a great part of this position that you need to translate Chinese in these letters, and you're like, what? Don't know. So honesty is the best policy. These are just general components of a resume. So of course, your personal information. So if you do not have a personal email, and we talked about this at the beginning of the workshops, really crafting a professional email that you can put on your resume. Do not have Foxy Lady 45, that's mine, on your resume as your email address. Have a professional name that we can identify you with. Your objective. So let's talk about the objective for a minute.
I have a question.
Yes.
I know some people that only use like their first initial, their last initial, and then numbers that mean things to them, but there's nothing distinguishable about it, so it kind of looks a bit spam. Is that kind of frowned upon? Like if it's like JL2468, like.
It's not frowned upon because we're going to identify by the name.
Okay.
The objective of your resume, what does that mean to have an objective? And there's a lot of kind of back and forth of whether this is still relevant or not on resumes. Goal, checkpoint, purpose. So your goal statement, your purpose statement. So objective statements have been historically used in resumes, right? People have used objective statements to say, I am a 20-year business professional specializing in blah, 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 blah. That's my objective. I am seeking a career in this. Talks about who they are, their skill set, and what their goal is. More so now, you will see most resumes with a career summary. So folks that are more professional in their careers will have a career summary. That just summarizes their experience. For you guys, if you have not had a lot of experience and you're simply a high school student seeking opportunities to drive your customer service or entrepreneurial or business career, then you write that. So whether it's an objective or as a career summary. Expected date of graduation is important, but you can just say the year you are in high school. Or if you're expected to graduate and enter college, you can state that. Spell out the school's name. Right? GPA. Why do you put your GPA if it's higher than 3.0 only?
Shows you're an honor student.
Or shows you honor student. What else does it show?
That you're doing well in school.
You're doing. Thank you, sir. You're doing well in school. If you do not have a GPA that's 3.0, what should you do?
Don't listen.
Get it up.
Yes, get it up, but don't list it. Right? Don't list it. List dates that you made the honor roll dean's list. Or if it's not the honor roll or dean's list, maybe there's some other accomplishments, right? Because there's a lot of other programs in high school, right, that you guys get to excel at. That's not just honors, dean's list. There's other scholastical things. Maybe it's sports. Maybe it's EVF, Expanding Visions Foundation. Put that on there. Work experience is what we talked about. List your most current. Not all jobs need to be listed. Why? Yes, sir.
It's not relatable to the job that you're applying to.
Right. Yes, ma'am.
Well, not only that, but like oddball jobs or like side jobs that are just like not needed to be listed.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're, say for instance, you have been trying to do some work or working for the last 10 years, just odd jobs. If you weren't really gaining a lot of skills and your mama just sent you somewhere to be somewhere during the day, you don't necessarily need to list it. You're listing those things that can really illustrate your skills and your abilities. All right? List job title first, include employer's name, and if it's not employer, the organization or the person you're working with. Use bullets or paragraphs to detail job duties. Here's what I don't like in resumes, and this is what I'll show you in an example in a minute. And like some of you did on your homework with your SMART examples, do not give me a non-descriptive sentence. You are describing what you have done. Like I said, most resumes are written in past tense because you have done it or you're doing it. So you have worked as a customer service person in this department, managing this, and this, responsible for this. So you're describing in detail. 1 sentence, 2 sentences, 3 sentences. The reason why we say bullets is because as a reader, it's easier for me to read it. If you clump all that stuff in a paragraph, like I said, we got 10 seconds, 10 minutes to review it. You think I'm reading all that? You think I'm reading a dissertation? No, I'm not. So you're bulleting those things you did specifically within that job. Work experience, prioritizing using descriptive language. Here's some power words. Why do we focus on power words when we are writing a resume? Stick out. So, say for instance, Jameer. Everybody listen. Jameer is applying for an engineering assistant here at The Ohio State University. He has read the job description, and the job description said he needed to have Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word, organization, attention to detail. He needed to have provided data, right, on particular work. So these power words on his resume is going to stick out for a recruiter. So if he's applying for an engineering assistant, what are some words he can use from this power list? Formulated. What other ones? Generated. What else? Multiplied. Upgraded. I can hear you. Triumphant. So as a recruiter, I am looking for these types of words. Everybody got it? So when I read your resumes next week, show me some power words. Show me some power words. If I see some weak sentences and it don't really describe, I told you to borrow from Google. I'm sending it back to you like I sent it back to many of y'all this week to redo it. So give me some power words. So your skills. Your skills should be featured in a separate section. And this is relative because many of you are gaining skills. But if you have accomplished some skills, like you are good in Microsoft Excel, you've taken certification in that, you learned it in school, list those things out. If you're going to the career center after school, and you have some specific things that you're learning, those are the things we want to see. Some additional skills in your resume. Like a language skill. Chinese, maybe. Like I said, computer skills, presentation skills. Those are skills. So this particular slide is a good one because it kind of explains and helps you kind of understand how you translate your skills and experiences. Somebody want to give me an idea of what you think I'm talking about and translating your skills and your experiences on paper in your resume? Because what this means is, if you babysit your younger siblings, that's a transferable skill. I can use that on the job. Did you watch your younger siblings? I was responsible, good management skills. That's what babysitting younger kids is, right? Did you volunteer work in your community? Transferable skill. You're conscientious with a strong sense of community. So those are some of the things you can begin to translate if you haven't really worked the job. How many pages should your resume be?
At least one. At the most.
Do you guys think you have enough experience to put on 2 pages?
No. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, if it is 2 pages, what should it look like?
Well, front and back.
From back. From back. Another way that you can reduce the amount of information on there is change the font. So if we say typical, I think we said like typical font was what, 12? Reduce it to 10. What do we say?
It was 10, 11, and 12.
10, 11, 12. So if you needed to reduce the space, reduce the font. Yeah, the font, yeah. Reduce the font. That may squeeze it up a little bit. Keep it in mind, oftentimes, we don't have a lot of time to be doing this. Yes? No, you bullet. Please bullet. Yeah, your skills. Yeah. So you see in this particular example of this resume, James Student, he has New York University. He's a student in business administration, right? So he's talking about what he's studying and some of the things he's involved in. And then it goes into, he works at the Gap. He gives a description of his duties at the Gap, demonstrated, there's that power word, engaging customer service skills and a solid work ethic as a sales assistant for busy retail store. Greeted customers and helped in product selection, checkout, and merchandising. Willingly stepped up and earned Employee of the Month. Does that stand out to you?
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the next one. Questions about James Student. Here is another example of the style and the type of resume that you can create. Again, you see at the top, all of that personal information, instead of just having the name and the other information under it as a sentence, it's all center line in the paper. Does everybody know what I mean by center line versus left, right, margin? So this is center line. What do you notice about this particular personal information that was different than James Student? Format. Yeah. First thing on this one is education. Again, it does not matter what order you put it in. Like you'll Google all types of chronological order, skill-based order. There's all different types. So if you want to put your education as the top, that's quite all right. Then it lists your experience, pet sitter. What's important when you are listing your experience is to list the job, list the location, and list the time you did it.
I hope that you enjoyed today's class and were able to get some valuable tidbits on how you create your own MBA level resume. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, follow, and share this particular video on Facebook with your friends. You can follow us at Expanding Visions Foundation.